Hello, welcome to part 2 of Trauma. Hopefully this one is less of a fucking bummer. Part 1 was talking about a little bit of my history with trauma and PTSD, and now this part is going to talk about the healing process, how it's been for me, and what I have done to help myself not want to die all the time. I've experienced a lot of abuse in my life. Episode 9, part 1 of trauma was just, are you fucking serious right now? See, the thing about owning a cat is sometimes they can tell when you're upset. Yep, okay. I'll be fine, thank you. Basically any kind of abuse you can think of I've been through. And I only covered a small portion of it. It's funny, I say small portion, the video is like an hour and a half long, episode 9, part 1. But I was only covering one of like my main abuser. I've been through a lot more, but I don't want to. That would just be like a whole 12-part series, and I'm good. So I'm just gonna talk about the one, but I've experienced all kinds of different abuse. So right now we're just gonna talk about how I healed from this specific abuser. Something like the level of abuse that I suffered from my abuser, it affects all aspects of your life. It affects things that you didn't even realize that it affects. One of the things is it put a lot of stress on my other relationships in my life because I was so engulfed by this one person. One of the relationships that I am repairing right now is with my mom. My abuser did a lot of things to separate my mom and I. He would shit talk her all the time and call her stupid and things like that. And she could be a little airheaded, but the things he was saying and the way he made fun of her all the time was not nice at all. And it kind of made me a bully by him bullying her, if that makes sense. The mob mentality. It was kind of what he was doing with me and another person that I had mentioned before, where he would whisper things to me and not literally whisper. I'm talking more about a stereotypical villain, like fucking Palpatine just being like, "Man, aren't they stupid? You should have killed them all. Do it." And eventually, the more he bad talked my mom, the more I started to believe the things that he was saying. But after a while, I was like, you know what? I don't hate my mom. Why do I think that? He would use the business as an excuse, but would make it so that I couldn't really visit my mom. So eventually I just couldn't visit my mom, but she learned, she knew what to do. Because then instead of calling me, because she would call me and I would ask, my abuser, be like, hey, can I go visit my mom? And he'd be like, no, we have business things to do. Instead, she would call him directly and be like, hey, can you and Jesse come visit me? And by inviting him, then it made it so that I could go visit her. And because I was so codependent and so reliant on him at this point, then that was how things went. I never really saw her without him. So right now I'm working on repairing my relationship with my mom because I've lost a lot of time that I could have been spending with her. Because my abuser messed with my ability to be in cars with people, that was something that I had to work on as well. Because I was so scared sitting in the passenger seat that they were just going to start screaming. And when I first started dating Dash, that was something I was very, very tense in the car because I thought that they were gonna scream and stuff. Luckily, through therapy and through being in cars with people who aren't insane maniacs, I have been able to get over that hump. It took a bit, but I am no longer afraid to be in cars anymore, and that was a big step for me. I'm still afraid to drive them just because, there's a lot of trauma related to that specifically. I get triggered very easily by being behind the wheel of a car. But 1 out of 2, that ain't bad. And honestly, when you're getting over trauma and PTSD, take the little victories. No one's going to be fucking perfect right out the gate. If you worked on something and you accomplished something, be proud of that. Be happy about that. Just because you haven't finished the marathon in record time doesn't mean you're, useless or anything. You're good. You're just a mile in or whatever. There is a happy ending to the Twitch channel thing, by the way. In the previous part, I had talked about how the Elite 3 Twitch channel was going to be, my top surgery fundraiser channel. And my abuser had said no. We had done all that planning and stuff, so I was like, shit, what are we gonna do? We decided to make an original Twitch channel, and we got a shit ton of followers. We all flew out to LA, we did a 24-hour Dungeons & Dragons thing, we had a lot of cool guest stars on, and we raised the money. We raised more than the amount. We raised the stretch goal And then also we were able to donate $4,000 around to different trans charities. So I'm glad that has a happy ending. My abuser can go fuck himself just because he didn't want me to be a boy. We got it. We got it, dude. You can suck my 1-inch erect penis, you fucking loser. But because of that and because of a lot of other things that he had done and said, I have a hard time trusting people. So that's something I've been working on. But if I can be honest, I trusted too many people before. So I'm going from like the opposite side of the scale of like trusting absolutely everyone to the middle of the scale. You know, if this end of it is don't trust anyone, this end is trust everyone. I'm kind of in the middle, and I kind of want to stay there because people suck, and I don't want to, you know, trust someone that I shouldn't. And maybe that's a bad thing. Maybe I should trust a little more people, but right now I don't. Who knows? I don't know. It's all healing. It's all figuring shit out. I never would have told anyone about the sexual abuse that I had suffered if my abuser hadn't forced it into the spotlight for me. And that's a scary thing, but I think it turned out to be a good thing in the end because, you know, I was able to be more honest and truthful, and rather than bottling it up, I was able to like process it and stuff. So it's a very bad thing that turned out to be good. So thanks, I guess. Thanks for doing one of the worst things that's ever happened to me and tell everyone about a thing that I did not want them to know about because character growth. I don't know. It's a shitty thing, but we can recycle it and turn it into something good. Because it made me realize something. It made me realize that I wasn't scared for people to find out. I was just scared because if people found out, then I couldn't pretend it didn't happen anymore. And whether people know about it or not, it happened. And I can't just, you know, plug my ears and pretend it didn't happen anymore. The biggest thing is I just didn't want people to judge my art and my performances based on it. I don't want to write about a sexually abused character or play a sexually abused character and people see that and are like, oh, he's pulling from his experience. It's like, no, I become the character. Just because we have something in common doesn't mean, you know, it's kind of like actors not wanting to disclose their sexuality publicly because they don't want to be judged for it in movies or TV or anything. If a gay actor is playing a straight character, they don't want to be like judged for that, you know, because we all know he's gay, and like watching this performance, it's like we're looking for nuances that we might not if a knowingly straight actor is playing that character. But I think it's going to be good. I think it's good in the long run because it has to be. You know, he told people it's out there, and this is the timeline that we're living in. So we have to, like I said before, recycle it and make the best of it. So this has to be the best timeline because I'm going to make it the best timeline. One of the biggest things for me was learning to get my independence back because I was so independent as a kid. And then this guy came into my life and like beat me down and made me so afraid of everyone and the world and social situations. I had to gain my confidence back, but I had it in the past, so I knew I could get it back. And also my physical transition just really helped. You know, I'm the most confident and happy I've ever been in my life. But the confidence came from not only my physical transition, but also from getting out in situations that I had avoided because my abuser would yell at me or text me to continuously to come home from. After I'd split from my abuser, I would go out to parties and feel like I was doing something wrong. Even though I had no more contact with him, I was so scared because I thought that he was going to text me or call me or that I was in trouble. So I had to learn to like have fun and accept that I can be happy. If I felt happiness, I felt like something was wrong. Because whenever I was happy, my abuser would do something to make me unhappy. He would see that I'm happy in a social situation or hanging out with a partner or a friend, and he would get very insecure and, you know, bad talk them and stuff, or punish me in some way. So I thought that that was coming, even though he wasn't even in my life anymore. And that's something that I'm still dealing with right now, even more than a year out. But because I had been made so codependent, when I got out of the relationship that my abuser and I had, I took out that codependency on my new partner. So I would get very insecure when Dash would like, you know, we were poly, and when they would have other partners or other sexual partners, and it was super hypocritical because I would have other romantic partners and other sexual partners, but I would get very insecure about that. I was very cruel to them, like unbelievably, because I was like a caged animal who was let loose for the first time in 9 years. I didn't know how to interact with humans. I didn't know how to form healthy connections with people because the main prominent relationship that I had had with my abuser was so unhealthy. I asked so much of them, and they helped me with so much. They helped me move out of the Staten Island house into Brooklyn. They hurt their back, helping me with my bed. I still had my fainting condition back then. My fainting condition I still have, but it's less prominent because I've been on testosterone therapy. So back then I couldn't lift heavy things on my own, and Dash helped me with all of that. And it was bad. It was very bad. I don't know why I keep saying bad like that. But it was bad. Bad. I would scream and cry at them the same way that my abuser screamed and cried at me. I was suicidal. I threatened to kill myself. I was just like this fucking monster. Looking back on it, I believe it was half of me being this caged animal let loose for the first time, and the other half is testosterone. When you first go on it, your hormones are fluctuating. And I didn't realize that, so I wasn't compensating for it. I was just acting as I always had. But because I was getting aggression spikes that I didn't know were caused by the tea, I didn't know that anything was wrong. So it was a mix. And what's fucked up is that I had never related more to my abuser. I understood his thinking at that time because I was a huge piece of shit. My abuser was abused as a kid, and it fucked him up. It made him insecure and selfish, and he just gobbled up everything because he needed to hold on to things, or he was afraid they would run away. And that's how I felt. And that really scared me because I was like, I don't want to be anything like that guy. So that really helped kick my ass and change my behavior. That and the tea stabilized in my body. So I don't really get those higher emotions anymore. Like extreme anger, I don't super get anymore. General anger, I don't get, which is a problem. This is a topic for another PinkBlue episode, but I need to be careful because of the fact that I don't get angry. People can take advantage of my kindness and stuff more, and I just don't get upset about it. So I've had to learn how to deal with that. I can't cry anymore. But yeah, so the crying and the screaming has stopped because I don't feel those emotions anymore. I feel sadness, I just can't cry. But yeah, when the tea was stabilizing in my body, I was just a fucking monster. Because adding everything on top of everything, it was oof. So now I'm dealing with that. I'm dealing with the fact that I was this fucking monster for months, and I really, really hurt our relationship. Not just romantic, I mean, the friendship. Hormone therapy made me aromantic, and honestly, I think that was a good thing because they were so good to me and I just didn't treat them right. I stopped feeling romantic attraction for them, and I didn't know why, and then I realized later, oh, it was the hormones. But honestly, I think it's good. I needed time to myself. So right now I'm single, and I don't really think I'm going to be getting partners in the future. That could change, but I don't feel romantic attraction, and honestly, being in an abusive relationship for so long where I didn't have freedom, now I can just do whatever I want, and it feels fantastic. So I think I need time by myself, which is a thing that some people who get out of abusive situations don't do. They get out and then they attach to someone else. And that's kind of what I did, being abused for so long. I attached to Dash in that way, and that's no good. So this is good. I'm glad that I'm on my own. I'm not really looking for anything right now. I just need to be by myself for a bit. My abuser needed to control everything, and I was feeling that way, of I needed control, and it made him fucking sociopathic. And I'm not excusing it at all. If you're abused, you need to not be abusive to other people. But I could understand it, I understood what was going on in his head, and that was really scary. But as a result, I have trouble asking for help from people. Because I asked Dash for so much, I feel extremely, extremely guilty when I ask anyone for any kind of favor. And honestly, I don't know what kind of person I would be if I hadn't gone on T and my hormones had stabilized out because of it. I had so much anxiety and so much dysphoria. I cried all the time. I was so needy and insecure. Like, going on T balanced out my hormones and made me more confident, so I was able to get over a lot of aspects of my PTSD, or at least it helped me a lot. And I don't experience romantic attraction anymore, so it got rid of that jealousy. And it also made it so I don't cry anymore. So I don't know what kind of person I would be if I still had those character traits. I'd be a much suckier person, so I'm very grateful that T chilled me the fuck out, because relating to my abuser in any way was super yucky. Yuck, don't like that. The main difference between us is his sociopathy. You know, I'm not a sociopath, but just any small glimpse into it was bad. There we go again. When I got away from my abuser, I still had nightmares every night. Every single night, I had horrible, horrible nightmares that he was going to hurt me. In some of the nightmares, we're still friends, and then I wake up and I have a panic attack because I'm so scared. And sometimes I still have those dreams. It's way more scarce now, but they still happen, usually when I'm particularly stressed out. And the best thing that I did for that is I started working out more consistently, because I was afraid that he was going to hurt me because he was, physically larger than me. I worked out a lot. I gained a lot of muscle mass. I do a lot of push-ups, a lot of core stuff. I forgot the word for core for a second. And I think that really helped the nightmares go away, because if I'm physically more confident and stronger, then I feel confidence that I could fight him if I needed to. And transitioning did really help me a lot with, the bad feelings from the physical abuse. Getting top surgery and growing my dick, I needed to get rid of my old body, if that makes sense. Getting rid of those parts of me that were violated, those parts that were from my old self where I was so deeply unhappy. And I accepted the love that I thought I deserved, which was selfish, gross love. Quote unquote love. Like I said before, someone who loves you doesn't do the things that he did. But it's really good because I look in the mirror and I see a new person, a new me, one that I'm comfortable and happy with. Someone that doesn't put up with abusers, someone who doesn't put up with people being shitheads. I stand up for victims now. I stand up for people who can't stand up for themselves. Before I didn't, because I was a piece of shit, and now I am less of a piece of shit. Something that I've had conversations with close friends, cisgender friends, about is something where afterwards they're like, wow, I never would have thought of that. But I talk to them about how the very act of the physical abuse, because it involves parts that I no longer have or no longer function, is a reminder that I'm trans. Because there was an abuse that happened to me, and then I shed those parts, and now I am me, but I still have these memories because it happened. And although I don't have the stuff anymore, the physical parts, the memories are still there. And those can be damaging because it's a very reminder that I am a transgender man. And I want to explore that in my art and creating things and making stuff. Sync, if you could shut the fuck up, blah blah blah. But yeah, I hear you. I want to explore that, and every cisgender person that I've had a conversation like that with has been like, no, you definitely should, you absolutely should. I never would have even thought of that ever. I've been going to one-on-one therapy, but I also started going to a group therapy where we all sit around and people talk about their problems, and you never even have to say anything if you don't want to. It's one of those groups where I just go and I listen. I haven't shared anything about myself unless someone else is asking about something, and then I chime in if they ask for advice. Then I share things about myself and how I can relate to their problem, but I've never been the one to share in that group. It's cool. It's actually a group of masculine trans people. So the group is specifically for us, and it's once a week, and it's really helped hearing other people's problems. Kind of like D&D, where I was able to explore Daxton's problems and it made me realize things about myself or feel better about myself. Hearing these guys talk about shit is real cool. I struggle still with sexual contact with assigned male at birth people, whether they're gender fluid or cisgender men. I'm attracted to them, but I tense up. There's this fear that they're going to hurt me. There's this fear that they're, and most of them have been great. Most of them have been very communicative, and it's kind of a mood killer if I talk about me being abused, so I usually don't. And even without me saying that I need special care, they take special care of me. But cuddling is very hard for me, just being in a close proximity with them And that's something I'm trying to get better at. When I was dating my abuser, he was always asking for sexual contact all the time, even when we were cuddling, which created this fear in me that if we are cuddling, they're going to want sex. They're gonna, their dick is gonna get hard. And it's scary. It's really scary. Because cuddling is supposed to be a safe space. It's supposed to be like, hey, this is a cool, not sexual thing that we are doing, and not a gross bad thing. So it's really hard to let my guard down. So they'll like be totally relaxed just cuddling with me, and I'll just be like stiff as a board, just being like, when does the pain happen? It's hard for me to stay hard sometimes. But I'm really fortunate that I've been with like very cool people. So that's some stuff I've been doing to heal. Now we're at the wrap-up portion. So have y'all seen Over the Garden Wall? Spoilers for Over the Garden Wall. I was reading a story about someone else who had been abused, and she was talking about how her abuser, after years and years, she looks back on it and is like, he was such a fucking loser. Like, you're so terrified because they're abusing you in that moment. But like looking back on it, she was like, damn, that guy sucked. Like, and he wasn't attractive, and no one liked him. Why was I scared of this guy for so long? And that reminded me of the moment you finally get to see Jason Funderburker in Over the Garden Wall. Jason Funderburker has been this guy that Wilt has hated the entire cartoon. And then you just picturing this like big meaty like dude, like a fucking football guy. And then you finally see him and he's like, hey guys, what's going on? And he's like this small, not attractive boy. And that's what happens every time that I'm like thinking about my abuser, like I was so scared of him for so long. And then he's just a piece of shit. Everyone thought he was ugly and mean except for me. And I think it was just, I was talking about it before, you accept the kind of love that you think you deserve. Looking back, I'm like, why was I afraid of that guy? And I hope that can help you if you are moving on from abuse. Just thinking about the guy, the quality of person. You might not even be getting abused by a man, it could be a woman or a non-binary person or whatever. Think of them like everyone else thinks of them. You had nothing to be afraid of, and yet we were. And that sucks. But now I hope we can laugh about it. And you might not be at the laughing stage yet, and that's completely fine. But it's... That person sucks. What quality of shit human being has to make people feel bad about themselves in order to feel better about themselves? If I could give you any advice, I think it would just be to say that it's going to be hard. Recovering from abuse is really hard. It's going to be hard for a while. It might be a long while that it's going to be hard, but you're out of it. You're done. They can't hurt you anymore. You're away from them. They cannot hurt you anymore. The only thing that can hurt you is the damage that they've done thus far to your noggin. And brains are scary, but we can beat them. You are not alone. There are so many people being abused right now that we will never know and will never even meet. And that sucks, but the world is getting better. People are becoming more aware of mental health issues. Right here, I'm talking to you on the internet, on YouTube. This wouldn't have been a thing like 30, 40 years ago. I'm reaching out and I'm telling you that you are loved and you are important and you deserve life. You deserve a life where you aren't being controlled by someone else. And you can get that. You can get that now because you're out of it. The hard part is over. This part is just you against your brain. Don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. Talk to a therapist, talk to a friend, someone you trust. Someone who understands this shit. Be gentle with yourself. Don't feel bad about feeling bad. You're supposed to feel shitty. You just had someone like be a huge asshole to you for years and years. It's okay to feel shitty. You need to give yourself time to become stronger. And if you're constantly berating yourself, you're not gonna, have room to grow and become that strong, confident person that you need to be to beat this shit. Your most authentic you is inside of yourself, and you just need to harness that shit. I believe in you. The world believes in you. You believe in you. You just don't know it yet. Time is the most important factor right now. Sometimes you just need time. I felt shitty and bad and had nightmares every night for a long time. And now I'm getting out in the world and I'm doing shit. And you know why? Because I took my time. I took time with myself to be alone and also to share with friends and people who cared about me. I realized that I had a lot of deep inner shit that I had to work on. Work it in my heart, work that shit out first, then you can think about being with another person. And that's not to say you don't deserve love unless you love yourself first. I know that is shitty. I'm just saying that I had work that I had to do on myself, and sometimes people have work that they can only do for themselves. Sometimes there's work that someone else can't do for us. Meditate, focus on it, pray if that's your thing. I'm not a fan of organized religion, but like if that's your thing and that's what you need to heal, then fucking go for it, as long as it's not hurting anybody. Everyone should be in therapy. Absolutely everyone should be in therapy. Even if they haven't experienced PTSD or something serious like this, like therapy is so good. We should all be thinking about the things that are going on in our heads. We should be thinking about how we can treat other people better. We should be thinking about how we can treat ourselves better, all that good shit. And in this capitalist world, we are always going. We're not focusing on ourselves. We're like, gotta get this work done. Let's take a moment and just fucking chill. Think about what's going on in the world and your brain and how we can do a better job at it. I worked a little bit at a time. What I did was I had a lot of anxiety going in public situations because I was like, I'm in trouble all the time. So I took little baby steps. I was like, okay, today I'm going to walk to the grocery store. And I did. I went and I walked and I came back. Cool. I did that for a couple days. Then I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm going to talk to one human being. I'm going to interact with one human being, whether it's a cash register person or like a random person in aisle, whatever, one human being. You could do that, Jesse. And I did. And then the next day it was like, oh, 2 human beings. Cool. Next day, like just take it at your own pace. I said this earlier, I'm pretty sure, but you don't have to be 100% healed right away. Take your time, work on yourself, be gentle with yourself. Don't be afraid to ask for help. If I could summarize all these, that's probably the 4 points that I want to wrap up into a nice little package with a bow. Throw some fucking glitter on there. Future Jesse is not going to edit glitter in there. I know he's not. Well, there it is. There's my 2-part special on trauma. I love y'all. Stay safe. Thank you for joining me for this, and I will see you in the next video. Fake glitter.